Game that we have all played when we were kids or in school. That is Hangman. The basic logic of the game is to try to guess a word by filling in with the blanks with letters. Although the idea behind it is simple, the algorithm is a bit more complicated than what we have been doing previously. So let me take you through this. We will have a word, which is the word that we are trying to guess. We will have a variable called guess, which will store what we are guessing, store the letters we are guessing, and try to match it with a word. We will have number of dashes. That means the number of letters in the word. And we will have turns. Turns is basically the number of tries we are allowed to take before we lose. So while turns is greater than 0, we will set an initial value of turns, say 9, and this loop or this entire program will run as long as the number of turns is greater than 0. Number of dashes is equal to 0 initially, and then for every character in the word, we will check if that character is in the guess. If it is, we will print the character, or else we will print dash, and we will increase the number of dashes. If the number of dash is equal to 0, we will print win. Now guess is equal to input from the user. Whatever letter is guessed, we will add it to what we already have, and if guess is not in word, we will reduce turns by 1 and we will print wrong. And if turns is equals to 0, that means if all the turns are over, we will print that you have lost. Now let us look into how we can do this as a code. You can also take this as an input from the user. We are creating a variable with an empty value, guesses. We have turns, which determines how long the program will learn. We are setting the value as turns is equal to 9. Just as I mentioned in the algorithm, we are running this program until it has no more turns left. So while turns is greater than 0, we are making a counter number of dashes, which we are initializing with 0. And this is how we check for every character in Word. For car in Word, we are checking if the character is there in guesses. If it is, then we print the character. Else, we print a dash, as well as increase the number of dashes. If the number of dashes is equal to 0, then we print win. That means we have guessed all the letters in the word correctly, which is why we print win. And then we break so that we can exit the script. Here we ask the user to guess a character, which is why we use input. And then we concatenate what the guess is. And then we check if that word is there in guess. If the characters of the word are there in guess. If it's not, then if we made a wrong letter, if we guessed a wrong letter, then we reduce the turns, and then we print wrong. And we also print how many more turns we have left. And if the turn turns 0, then we exit the loop and also print lose at the same time. Now there is another thing that I wanted to show in this program. I have imported the time module, which we can use to delay the program a little bit, which is what we did here, time.sleep. Now let me run the program and show how it works. It asks what my name is. Suppose I say Gavin. As you can see, it took a little bit of time because I asked it to wait for 1 second. Now you can see it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 dashes that it printed. It printed 6 dashes. It printed 6 dashes because it fulfilled this condition. Because there is no letter in guesses, and there is no character in guesses that matches the character in word. Now let me write S. Now it guessed. Now it printed 5 characters because for each character, for one character it got a match, and for the rest it didn't. Now let me choose. Because there is no F in the in the word secret, this is why it printed wrong. And I initially assumed 9 turns, so that's why it tells me that I have 8 more turns. Now let me input another wrong letter. It says wrong, and it says I have 7 more guesses. As you can see, the number of dashes here is 0, which is why it prints I have 1. I hope you've understood this program, and this is a little bit more complex than what we have been doing so far, but it's interesting and it's so fun to play, and you can really make a lot of modifications to this, and I will link down the code below as always in the description box.